what we start with today is basically we revise the indexes, what we had done, and simultaneously do the questions from the practical file. Now, I had requested you all to keep the data frame handy, which was this one. Question number 1 of your basically data frame, question 5 of the worksheet. Right? So this data frame, I said keep it handy so that we can quickly pick up the questions following in the next one, that is question number 6. Okay. Now this question is actually talking about, it's a mix of what all sorts of searching mechanisms you've learned. Okay, based on that, we are doing one updation to this particular question. Change the city of the candidate name Pooja Tyagi as Jaipur. There's an updation and the rest are mainly displays. Okay, like based on the condition, based on the value, based on the column labels or the row labels. Fine. Now, what I want to tell you here is that before we start with this concept, I want to just quickly brush you through the indexing mechanisms which we use, because I generally find that there's always a confusion which one to use there. Okay, now just follow one particular thing. When you talk about indexes, that is what mechanisms do I have to search my data. Like in SQL, I talk about select command. If I want to extract some information from the SQL table, I talk about select command, right? Similarly, in data frames, I have got, or in pandas, I have got these 3 indexes. It's either the simple square brackets or LOC. LOC is the most flexible one, and ILOC. Okay, 3 indexes are available. LOC and ILOC has a very, very typical difference because ILOC works with the indexes, locations, positions, and LOC works with the name of the columns and name of the row labels. That is row indexes. Okay, it does not work with the position. That's one basic difference, major difference. Otherwise, the format of LOC and ILOC is almost same. Okay, coming down to the square brackets part. So now let's start one by one. That if I'm talking about the square brackets part, you will majorly use these square brackets to specify and extract column based data. Avoid using it otherwise, because for rows it works on kind of slicing mechanism, doesn't work directly with the row label indexes. So preferably always use your square brackets for the column names. I want to extract something from the column, I go for the square brackets directly. It is simpler. Okay, so like this is my data frame of by the name neat, and if I'm saying that I want to extract the city column, of course there'll be quotes if you talk about the character based thing. What name did I give? Sorry. It's data. I'm so sorry. Data is what I get. Yeah. So data, square brackets, and within that the name of the column. So when I want to extract the data based on the columns, column names, I would prefer to use my square brackets. Okay. Single column, one square bracket, multiple columns, 2 square brackets. Okay. Right. First thing. Suppose I'm saying name and city. So 2 square brackets, more than 2 also. If we are talking about more than 1 column name, it could be 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 30, whatever. There also it is your 2 square brackets only. Of course, I'm doing it on the shell, so I'm not using the print statement. Otherwise, this would have a print statement enclosing this particular command. Okay. Fine. So straight. Whenever I want to go for directly, I have the column labels to extract the whole column. I'll prefer my square brackets. Okay. Next is my LOC. Okay. In the case of LOC, I work with the row and the column labels. But what you have to remember is that if you have to give row and column label both or only the column label, then in that case, it has to come after the comma and you have to give a specification for the row in the form of a slice. Okay. So basic, when I talk about LOC and I give a direct square bracket with LOC, then I'm talking about extracting my row labels like square brackets directly with the square indexer is basically for the column names. Similarly, when I say data.loc and I try to use my square brackets, now in this case, I'm talking about, I should be giving here my row labels. I'm not sure whether I use it as a number or something. If it's a number, it will be without, like I have used the row labels as numbers, so no need of giving the quotes, but otherwise you'll have to give the quotes here also. Okay. Straight. When column names, square brackets. When row label basis you want to extract, LOC. Again, the same thing. If you are talking about a single row label, single square bracket with LOC. If you're talking about multiple row label, then 2 square brackets. Multiple, any number more than 1. Okay. So I'm saying 12,000. And just remember one thing, when you're giving a single row label, have you seen that the display of the thing is not in the form of a row anymore? It's in the form of
Yes,
it's in the form of columns, like, you know, name, city, square, score, like that. Multiple rows corresponding to that. Just like you can say, just remember it that if you're trying to create a slip for a child with the details, I'll obviously write like this, single child. But the moment you try to do it for multiple row labels, then in that case, the format changes. Okay, another thing to highlight, they can give you an output question for this and ask you to say, okay, whether it's coming like this or whether it's going to come like this or not. So you should know if it is a single display of row label extraction, then the thing comes like a label, chit, slip. If I write the details, okay, name ke corresponding ye hai, city is this, score is this, qualifier is this, like a chit. Okay. But when you talk about more than one, then it's like my normal format. The entire row labels data is filled up. Entire row data is filled up. Okay. That's one thing. Now this is about the row labels. What happens if I want to include my column specification also, or I only want to give the column specification with row, with LOC? Okay. I am saying if you want only column specification, go for the square brackets. Don't go for LOC because that's easy. You're writing less, right? But LOC gives you the option of both. You want to give only row labels, it's direct, no problem. But if you want to give column labels only, then you have to go for this format. Anything from the row, so that you give like a slice, start to end, everything. No specification given, just the slice given. And comma, the column labels. If you want to give both, ki row wise ye hona chahiye and column wise ye hona chahiye, ki row ka specification aisa hai, and then pick up these columns corresponding to it. Then you give it here before the comma, whatever you want to write for the row, whatever condition you want to write for the row. Okay. Correlating it to a SQL thing, your condition for the row will be like where clause. Whatever you're writing in the where clause, where's age more than 10, where city in Delhi, Mumbai, Jaipur, where salary between this value and that value. So these are my conditions to filter the records. Same follows here, and these conditions will come where? These conditions will come in the row part of LOC. Okay. And then corresponding to these conditions, do you want the entire set of information, all the column information? So that is in SQL, are you saying select star or are you saying select name, comma, city only? So what all columns you want in the output, ultimately in the output, that you specify here. Again, single column, only, I mean, no need of any separate set of column labels, I mean, square brackets. But if it is more than one column label you want, so there has to be like you're specifying a list of columns. So your square brackets will be there, separate one. ठीक है, everything from row, everything from column. It's like displaying the entire data frame together. This way is also you can do that. No specification for row, no specification column, but because it's that slice thing, so everything from row and everything from column. So LOC has this format within the square brackets, row specification, comma, column specification. Okay, right? Now there's one more thing which you had to remember here, that if we do not mention any column labels, then all the columns are included. While using slicing, do not use another set of square brackets within the square brackets. So when you're doing slicing, there is no need of extra square brackets. This is slicing only. No? So when you're doing slicing, there's no need of extra square bracket. When you're giving the column labels or row labels directly the label names, you're not specifying a range. Range means slicing you will use. You're not specifying the range, then in that case, you need the extra square brackets if it's more than one. Okay. While using slicing, the result includes the endpoint values also, because here you are using the label slicing. You're using the slicing with label names, not with the indexes. Okay. When you're doing it with the iLock, you're using for slicing the positions, 0th row to 4th row, 5th row to 9th row, whatever. In that case, the last one is not included. But here, when you are doing it with the labels, you are doing it with the row names or column names for that matter. Because slicing can be this side also. Now you can see here in the last part, I'm telling you, slicing can be used here, slicing can be used here also. So there, when you're doing it, in that case, your last slice end point is inclusive, which doesn't happen in the case of iLock. Okay, so these were a few points which you need to remember about lock and the iLock thing. iLock is same, row index, single row index, multiple row indexes, row index, comma, column index, everything from row with the column index specifications, and everything from row, everything from column, or specifications in terms of slice. But you have to remember there's a comma, row specification, comma, column specification in the case of LOC as well as ILOC. So if you're giving only rows, so that comma is not there. Okay. This pura ka pura row specification. I want to give the column specification. So outside this bracket here, this part, you'll have the column specification after comma. Okay. Fine. Let's get to the questions now. And the first question says, display names where score is more than 1000. Now, you have learned about two kinds of indexing. One is label, using the labels directly. Only I can give the labels. Labels ki slicing. By labels ki slicing, I mean, if I go back to the data, yeah. By label slicing, I mean, name se leke qualified tak. Okay, jump of 1, jump of 2, whatever. That kind of a slicing I'm saying. 1000, 12,000 se leke 12,004 tak. That kind of a slicing I'm talking about. Okay, or direct names or and cities or name, comma, this thing. So only based on labels. The second set of indexing which we have learned is when I want to search as per my conditions. That is, check the data, check the content in my records and then pick up. For that, what all we have learned? Few things to remember here. When you're combining conditions, it is not OR or AND and or NOT not. It is these symbols to be used in pandas. Piping symbol, as we call it, single piping symbol for OR, ampersand for and tilde symbol for not. And when you're combining the conditions with this OR in between and two conditions on the left and the right hand side of OR, then in that case, these two conditions have to be in its own brackets, half circle brackets. Pehla condition or second condition, pehla condition and second condition. Okay, that was one thing. You definitely can use these operators, salary more than this, name equal to this, city equal to this, not equal to city, not equal to Agra. So all the records where the city is not Agra will be displayed. Okay, then there are things like One more thing to be taken care of. Again, I will prefer talking to you. Can do this part with only the square indexer, or you can add your LOC also. LOC may be, because this is based on the row, so nothing will change. Item 1 dot LOC, then inside the square bracket you will specify your condition. Condition के लिए अब क्या करना है, दोबारा से the data frame name will come, है ना? Because this is the actual condition. Like supposingly if I'm saying in my data, I'm saying that, okay, let me have the data distance first. Suppose I'm saying city should be Delhi. So I'm saying data dot city equal to Delhi. Now what does it display then? It displays this true and false Dani. Okay, I wanted the actual records. I did not want the true and false thing. Right? Why true and false? Because first record has Delhi, so it is displaying true. Second record doesn't have Delhi, so false. Third record has Delhi, so this. So now this has to be, this is my row condition, right? What do I do to mask it to my data frame so that my data frame picks up everything as in the form of data record based on this condition. So data.loc, this I know. And within the square brackets of LOC, I will be pasting my condition because it's checking the row condition. So no comma required. When you give columns, then the comma will have to be specified. So data.city equal to Delhi. Now, is portion mein you are talking about like only one condition and second condition. So this condition in its own half circle, second condition in its own half circle. Then you can check for, like, if I have to check for a city as Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon, or Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon, Mumbai, multiple things. Then what do you write? Data is dot city equal to Delhi, or data dot city equal to Mumbai, or data dot city. It's difficult. So what option do I have for that? I have this option of is in. Okay, data frame, column name, dot is in. Is in is a function, so its own half circle, and then within the square brackets, whatever list of values it wants to check. So like item 1 discount dot is in 1075. So wherever these discount values are 10 or 7 or 5, pick up those records. This whole thing masks to item 1. I've not used LOC here, but you can use LOC here as well as these square brackets index or both. LOC में कुछ नहीं करना, यहाँ पे बस I have to add dot LOC, that's it. Or else I can do it with the square brackets also. Both ways it's possible, no problem. Okay, but I am saying follow a basic pattern. Dot LOC for a row specification, comma column specification, only row specification, and use the square brackets for the basic column specification, column names. Okay, then the between operator. Same thing, data frame name dot column name, square brackets column name dot between brackets lower comma upper. So these are the ways you can give the condition to extract your data from the data frame. Specify the conditions for it. But if you give only the condition, I have seen here that it gives me the answer in true and false. Like suppose I'm saying data dot score should be greater than 500. Okay, and data dot score should be dot also is possible. After dot may I'll have to give. I mean the quotes are not required. So for single column I prefer. But okay, I was talking about this method to specify. So we can do this method also. Okay, data dot score more than 500 and data का score का जो value है should be less than or equal to suppose 1000. Okay, I said whenever you're giving multiple conditions, include every condition into its own half circle. Right? Okay. No masking done. So first two and the fourth one has this condition true, hence this. Now what to do to have the masking done? What to do in that? outside this whole thing, I'll say data.loc, or that square bracket thing will also work. Okay? So data.loc, square open and square closed. Okay. Just the masking is done in this case. Nothing else is doing. Now I don't want names, city, score, qualify, category. I only want the names. Then what happens? This is the condition for my row. Okay, the rest of the square brackets is for LOC. LOC के अंदर ही you have row specification, comma, column specification. So what am I going to do is I'm going to take this whole thing, put it here, and then leaving the row specification, I'll go and put a comma for my column specification. What I want? I only want the name column. Single column, so no need of my square brackets. Okay. In this case, if I would have required the multiple columns, then again the story will change, because now this fellow will have its own set of square brackets. So there's an LOC bracket, outer, then you have the row specification, comma, the column specification with its own square brackets if it is more than one column, comma.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, all this, ma'am, these specifications will give a result only for the rows. Huh?
If I'm giving the columns, then accordingly he's extracting the column also. No, like when I did not give any column, all the column names came. This whole thing is for the row, condition for the row. If you don't give any specification for column, all the column names are picked. I give one column name, single column name corresponding to these rows where these conditions is satisfied. In this case, these two columns corresponding to the rows where this condition is satisfied.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. So these are the few things. If you kind of, sit and take up your own conditions and practice for 10 to 15 minutes in one go, you'll understand that what exactly we are trying to do. Okay. Now let's get back to these conditions. Now where it said display names where score is more than 1000. So what I have done, score is more than 1000. That's a condition I want to apply to extract my rows. Correct? So what do? And that to only names. So data.loc within its square brackets, within the square brackets, I want the row specification as well as the column names also, because I'm talking about only names to be displayed. So you can see here, this is the row part. Simple, I can use dot score also, because to refer to a column, I can use the dot thing too. When I refer it with dot, I do not need the quotes. But if I do it with LOC, you can see it here, it is with the quotes. Sorry. I mean, if there I have not taken for this particular column name, but if you do it for the column name with the square brackets, then you need the quotes. With LOC, there's no change actually. There's no change in this specification, right? Let me show it to you what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say here is that suppose I want, what is the condition? Score should be more than 1000. I'm saying either you say data.loc, okay, row specification, comma, column specification. ऐसे format ready कर लो पहले. Now for the row, what I want, data may go and try to find out the score field. And in that, search for 1000. There's one common mistake which even I do at times is I take the square bracket and put it after 1000. That's wrong. This square bracket is for specifying the column name. Okay, so this has to be before you give the conditions. Many a times I take this condition and put it this square bracket and by mistakenly put it after the condition. Please don't do that. This is for your column name specification. Okay, followed by it is asking for name, so I say name. That's my column name, what I want to extract. Okay. What variation to this? I'm saying instead of using score in square brackets, I can just simply say, which will help me avoid these square brackets and also help me avoid writing the thing in quotes. This way also it can be written. Both the ways are correct. Okay. With the LOC, row specification, comma, column specification. Right? Now when
Ma'am,
you
I
want to,
think,
yeah,
ma'am, in the textbook, they have only used the brackets.
not use a dot.
Ma'am.
Okay, fine. Good thing. One method, if they keep, that's actually better. Okay, now this question had issues when we did it in the lab that day. Change the city of the candidate named Pooja Tyagi as Jaipur. Now, what exactly are you expecting to? You are wanting that this person, Pooja Tyagi's, city has to change to Jaipur. Okay, that's what you want. Now, that means the system has to go and refer to this location. Na? He has to go and refer to this place. This have to be extracted and replaced by Jaipur. Correct? So, in order to reach this position, what should be my condition? Where name, extract the city, where name is Pooja Tyagi. है ना? तो automatically हम यहाँ पहुंच जाएंगे. Extract the city. So, column has to be city and name has to be Pooja Tyagi. Correct? So, that condition I'll give along with my LOC. This is the way I would have done it for extraction. This is the way I'm using it for my extraction. But I don't want to extract it. What do I want to do? Instead, I want to replace a value there. So assigned to the new value. That's the only change. When you're not displaying the conditions output, you are sending a particular change, assigning a new value, updating a new value. So assigned to the new value, whatever you are doing. Sorry. Okay. This is again what comma, differentiating in between data.name equal to Pooja Tyagi and the city. Row comma column wala specification. No output comes immediately. You can see here there's no output coming immediately because it's an assignment. So वो कर दिया उसने assignment. How do you check? You have to print the data to check that whether the data has been changed or not. Okay. That was the second one. Going for the third one quickly. Here it says SC and ST category students. That means category has to be SC or category has to be ST. When you are checking multiple values in a single field or column, it will never be the AND condition, right? So here, instead of writing data.category is equal to SC or data.category is equal to ST, I use the isn't because otherwise it becomes too long. I'm writing the field name specification twice. So here again, data.loc से masking कर रहे हैं because I don't want the answer in true and false. But actual condition is data.category or data square brackets category followed by isn't, dot isn't. Square bracket के बाहर होगा वो. And then isn't is function. So half circle of that and the multiple list of values you're giving, that is supposed to be in the list specification. That is square brackets. Okay. Increase the score of all candidates. All, when you want to reflect something for all, overall, directly data dot score, data square bracket score is equal to current data score plus 25. So this applies to everyone. This is something which we have not done. This was added here. I'm adding this kind of a query here. Increasing the value for everybody. So directly do it the way we used to do it for my update in SQL. Similarly, refer to the field, change there, whatever expressions. You can give an expression, data dot score plus 25 minus 2 divided by something. Kuch bhi karega, it will do it.
Ma'am, so ma'am, if we want to give it for a particular person,
then again it has to be like first the extraction is equal to the expression what you want to assign. That will be for a particular person. Particular person means then you have to extract the particular person. Assign karne se value. Your left side should have extraction or referring to the particular person, and right side of equal to should be what new value you want to give. हमने जयपुर में भी तो यही किया ना. यहाँ पे what is happening? I'm giving him a calculation to do. Calculate and assign directly into one field. So the whole thing changes. If you want to do it for a specification, then first give the specification on the left hand side with that LOC and brackets for everything, and then give the expression this side.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Same as this here. Again, isIn I want for a specific set of roll numbers. Now, roll numbers are my indexes, so I'll use the isIn with the index. Index returns me what? The list of indexes. You can directly search in that also. Data.index.isIn. This is it. Specifically for those indexes, it will display. Okay. Otherwise, what is the easier way of extracting for these two rows? अगर मुझे इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं करना कि इंडेक्स वाला कंडीशन ढूंढ के लाओ एंड देन do it. How do I directly give for a specific set of rows? LOC. LOC makes it simpler for me. That's also another way we can do it, but as such, we have done it now. Row labels ke basis pe, when you want to pick the records, LOC comes handy. No need to use this index story, but you can use it if you want to. Data.index karke bhi kar sakte ho. Otherwise, LOC is direct and straight. Okay. Rest is using the between operator. Again, data.score or data square bracket score dot between 800 and 1000. Both are inclusive. In SQL, we used to use a and D in between the lower limit and the upper limit. Here it's comma and with the brackets. SQL doesn't have these half circles also. Between because it's not a function there, it's a keyword. Here it's a function. IsIn is also a function, between is also a function. Only two functions you've done. IsIn and between. So they will have their own square bracket, half circle brackets. Okay. I think you can try this part now easily. Should not be a problem.